became King of Belgium in 1865. Belgium was a small country. Well, look at your phone. The cobalt in its battery likely came from Congo. The same land where, 100 years ago, millions died harvesting rubber for European tires. The exploitation never really stopped. It just changed products. Between 1885 and 1908, King Leopold II turned Congo into his private profit machine. Over 10 million Africans died. And when the world finally forced him to give it up, he didn't go to trial. He sold it to Belgium. The colony continued, just under a different name. This is the story of how one man's greed created a system of exploitation that echoes into today. Before we talk about what Leopold did, we need to understand what Congo was before him. The Kingdom of Congo existed for centuries before Europeans arrived. Founded in the 14th century, it was a sophisticated state with a capital at Mbanza, Congo. The kingdom had a centralized government, a complex social structure, trade networks stretching across Central Africa, and diplomatic relations with Portugal as early as 1491. The Congo River Basin was home to hundreds of ethnic groups. The Congo people, the Luba, the Mongo, the Azande. These weren't primitive tribes. They were organized societies with metallurgy, agriculture, art, music, and governance systems. Portuguese explorers arrived in 1482. Initially, relations were diplomatic. The Congo king converted to Christianity. Ambassadors were exchanged. But over time, Portuguese interest shifted from partnership to profit. The slave trade began devastating the region. By the 1800s, the Kingdom of Congo had fragmented under pressure from slave raids and European interference. But the Congo Basin remained populated, productive, and politically complex. It was not empty. It was not waiting to be civilized. Then came Leopold. Leopold II became King of Belgium in 1865. Belgium was a small country, wealthy from industrialization but small. And Leopold had a problem. He wanted an empire, but Belgium didn't have colonies. Other European powers, Britain, France, Portugal, Germany, were carving up Africa. Leopold watched with envy. He wanted his peace, but Belgium's parliament wouldn't fund colonial adventures. So Leopold decided to do it himself, personally. He would acquire a colony not for Belgium, but for himself. He started with propaganda. He presented himself as a humanitarian. He claimed he wanted to bring Christianity, civilization, and commerce to Africa. He established the International African Association in 1876, supposedly to promote scientific exploration and suppress the slave trade. It was all a lie. Leopold's only interest was profit. In 1879, Leopold hired Henry Morton Stanley, the famous explorer who'd found Dr. Livingstone. Stanley's mission: go to Congo, sign treaties with local chiefs, and secure land for Leopold. Stanley traveled the Congo River, meeting with hundreds of chiefs. He presented documents written in languages they couldn't read. He offered gifts: cloth, beads, alcohol. In exchange, chiefs made marks on papers they thought were friendship agreements. Those documents gave Leopold control over their land. Forever. By 1884, Stanley had secured over 400 treaties. Leopold now claimed ownership of over 2 million square kilometers of Central Africa, an area 76 times larger than Belgium. In 1885, at the Berlin Conference, European powers officially recognized Leopold's claim, not as a Belgian colony, but as Leopold's personal property, the Congo Free State. It was the only privately owned country in history, and it would become one of history's greatest horrors. For the first years, Leopold struggled to profit from Congo. Ivory was valuable but limited. Then, in the 1890s, everything changed. The automobile industry exploded. Bicycles became popular. Both needed rubber tires. Demand for rubber skyrocketed. And Congo's forests were full of rubber vines. Leopold saw his opportunity. He declared all vacant land in Congo as state property. In practice, this meant everything. Congolese people had no legal right to their own forests. Leopold established a system, Force Publique, a private army of African soldiers led by European officers. Their job: enforce rubber collection. Every village was given a quota. Men had to go into the forest, find rubber vines, tap them, and bring back a set amount. If they didn't meet the quota, punishment was swift and brutal. Hands were cut off. This became the signature atrocity of Leopold's Congo. If a village failed to meet its quota, force publique soldiers would raid it. They'd cut off hands, sometimes from the living, sometimes from corpses, and bring them back as proof they'd enforced discipline. Why hands? Because soldiers were given a limited number of bullets. They had to prove they hadn't wasted ammunition hunting, so for every bullet fired, they had to provide a hand. If they killed someone, they cut off their hand. If they used bullets for something else, they'd cut off hands from living people to cover their tracks. Baskets of severed hands became a regular sight. Smoking them to preserve them for transport, children's hands, women's hands, elders' hands. One force publique officer, Leon Fieves, reportedly decorated his flower garden with a border of severed heads and used the hands to fertilize his crops. But mutilation wasn't the only punishment. Villages that resisted were burned. Women and children were taken hostage and held until men brought rubber. Rape was systematic. Starvation was common because men spent all their time collecting rubber instead of farming, and the quotas kept increasing. No matter how much rubber villages produced, it was never enough. How many people died in Leopold's Congo? Estimating is difficult because Leopold's regime destroyed records and Congo had no census. But historians have used multiple methods: missionary reports, Belgian government investigations, population estimates before and after Leopold's rule. The consensus: at least 10 million Africans died between 1885 and 1908. Some estimates go as high as 15 million. To put that in perspective, Congo's population before Leopold was approximately 20 million. Half the population died in 23 years. How did they die? Murdered by force publique soldiers, mutilated and left to die from infections, worked to death in labor camps, starved because they couldn't farm while collecting rubber, died from disease outbreaks caused by colonial disruption, killed in rebellions and resistance movements, entire villages massacred as examples. This wasn't accidental. It wasn't collateral damage of colonization. It was systematic violence designed to maximize rubber extraction while minimizing costs. Leopold didn't pay wages. He didn't build infrastructure. He didn't provide food or medicine. He just extracted. And when people died, he replaced them with more forced laborers. The Congo Free State was a death machine dressed up as a humanitarian mission. For years, the world didn't know. Leopold controlled information leaving Congo. Journalists weren't allowed in. Critics were silenced. But some people saw the truth and refused to stay quiet. George Washington Williams. Williams was an African-American journalist, historian, and former soldier. In 1890, he traveled to Congo expecting to see Leopold's promised humanitarian paradise. Instead, he witnessed horror. Williams saw villages burned. He saw people mutilated. He saw the forced labor system. He saw the lies. In July 1890, Williams wrote an open letter to King Leopold. He called it an open letter to His Serene Majesty Leopold II, King of the Belgians and Sovereign of the Independent State of Congo. In it, Williams documented atrocities and accused Leopold of crimes against humanity. This was one of the first times that phrase was ever used in modern history. Williams died in 1891, only a year after writing the letter. He was 41 years old. Some historians believe the stress and illness from his Congo trip contributed to his death. But his letter survived, and it planted seeds of awareness. Edmund Dean Morel. Morel was a British shipping clerk working in Belgium. His job involved documenting cargo shipments between Belgium and Congo. He noticed something strange. Ships leaving Belgium were full of guns, ammunition, and military supplies. Ships returning from Congo were full of rubber and ivory. But there was almost no trade goods going to Congo. No wages being paid. No commercial exchange. Morel realized what this meant. Congo wasn't being traded with. It was being plundered. The Free State was a slave state. Morel began writing articles exposing Leopold's system. In 1904, he founded the Congo Reform Association. He gave lectures across Britain and America. He published photographs smuggled out of Congo, images of mutilated children, burned villages, and starving workers. Morel's campaign made Leopold's Congo an international scandal. Missionaries, Catholic and Protestant missionaries working in Congo also became witnesses. They saw the atrocities firsthand. Some, like William Shepherd and William Morrison, documented and photographed what they saw. One missionary, Alice Seeley Harris, took photographs that shocked the world. Her image of Nsala, a Congolese man sitting on a veranda, staring at his daughter's severed hand and foot, became one of the most powerful anti-Leopold images. These missionaries risked their lives. Force Publique sometimes targeted them. Leopold's agents tried to discredit them, but they persisted. The Casement Report. In 1903, the British government sent Roger Casement, a diplomat, to investigate conditions in Congo. Casement spent months traveling the region, interviewing victims, and documenting atrocities. His report, published in 1904, was devastating. He described systematic mutilation, murder, and exploitation. He provided names, dates, and locations. He included testimony from both European witnesses and Congolese victims. The Casement Report made it impossible for Leopold to deny what was happening. International pressure mounted. Leopold never admitted wrongdoing. When accusations surfaced, he deployed a sophisticated propaganda campaign. He hired lobbyists to defend him in foreign newspapers. He paid journalists to write positive stories. He funded scientific expeditions that produced favorable reports. He claimed critics were lying, exaggerating, or misunderstanding. He said Force Publique violence was the work of rogue soldiers, not official policy. He blamed Arab slave traders for atrocities his own men committed. Leopold presented himself as a victim. He claimed he was spending his personal fortune to civilize Africa, and that ungrateful critics were undermining his humanitarian work. But the evidence kept mounting. Photographs, witness testimony, government investigations. The truth couldn't be suppressed forever. By 1907, international pressure was overwhelming. Belgium's parliament, embarrassed by the scandal, forced Leopold to hand over the Congo. In 1908, the Congo Free State officially became the Belgian Congo. It transitioned from Leopold's personal property to a Belgian state colony. Did this end the exploitation? No. The forced labor system continued. The violence continued. Only the name changed. Leopold kept the profits he'd already extracted. He was never tried for his crimes. He was never punished. He died in 1909, wealthy, respected by many Belgians, and officially honored as a great king. Belgian rule of Congo lasted until 1960. During that time, exploitation continued. Though it evolved, forced labor remained. Congolese people were required to work on plantations, in mines, and on infrastructure projects. Wages were minimal or non-existent. Education was limited. By 1960, fewer than 30 Congolese citizens had university degrees. Belgium deliberately kept the population undereducated to maintain control. Political rights were non-existent. Congolese people had no vote, no representation, no legal protections. Belgian law classified them as children in need of guidance. When Congo finally gained independence in 1960, it was unprepared. Belgium had invested almost nothing in developing Congolese leadership, institutions, or infrastructure. They'd only built systems to extract resources. Congo's first elected prime minister, Patrice Lumumba, tried to assert true independence. He spoke of reclaiming Congo's resources for Congolese people. He criticized Belgium's legacy. Months later, he was assassinated in a plot involving Belgian officials and the CIA. Congo descended into decades of dictatorship, civil war, and continued exploitation. The Congo crisis, Mobutu's kleptocracy, the First and Second Congo Wars, millions more deaths, all rooted in the destruction Leopold began. Today, the Democratic Republic of Congo is one of the world's poorest countries. Yet it's one of the richest in natural resources. Congo has 65% of the world's cobalt, essential for lithium-ion batteries in phones, laptops, and electric cars. Congo has significant reserves of coltan, essential for electronics manufacturing. Congo has diamonds, gold, copper, tin, and more. Yet the average Congolese person lives on less than $2 per day. Life expectancy is 59 years. Infant mortality is among the world's highest. Why? Because the extraction system never ended. Foreign corporations, many from the same European countries that colonized Congo, extract these resources. They pay minimal taxes. They employ Congolese workers in dangerous conditions for poverty wages. Child labor is common in cobalt mines. Armed groups control mining areas, profiting from resource sales to fund continued conflict. The Congolese government, weakened by decades of exploitation and corruption, struggles to govern effectively. When you use your smartphone, there's a chance the cobalt inside came from a mine where children worked 12-hour days in dangerous tunnels. Just as 100 years ago, Congolese people were forced to harvest rubber for European profits. The products changed. The system didn't. Leopold died in 1909. He was never charged with any crime. Why? International law at the time didn't recognize crimes against colonized peoples. The concept of crimes against humanity existed, but there was no legal mechanism to prosecute a European monarch for actions in Africa. European powers that might have held him accountable were themselves running brutal colonial systems. Britain, France, Germany, Portugal, all had blood on their hands in Africa. They couldn't condemn Leopold without inviting scrutiny of their own colonies. Belgium protected him. He was their king. Charging him would mean admitting Belgium's complicity. It was politically easier to blame him alone, then transition to state control while continuing similar policies. The Congolese themselves had no voice in international forums. They couldn't bring charges. They couldn't demand justice. The global system that might have prosecuted Leopold was the same system profiting from colonialism. So Leopold kept his wealth. He kept his titles. He died in his palace.
Live from Kenya with Khalees on her 150 acres, soon to be 300 acres of land. And in the background, you see this is actually a volcano. Very rare, little known fact. So Khalees, where exactly are we at right now?
Okay, so we're in Naivasha. We're right off of Lake Naivasha. And this is Mount Longonot here. Behind this property, on the other side of the mountain, is the National Reserve. This is all privately owned land here. And it's great, yeah, because as you see, all the...
This is what I'm talking about. And this is only the beginning. I think this is only the beginning of AI being able to decode a lot of these mysteries that we've been trying to solve for eons. Bro, it's gonna happen, and I'm here for it, fam. I'm here for it, bro. History is gonna change. This video here is titled The Ancient Language Decoded by an AI. What it revealed is terrifying. Let's go.
Homo sapiens, or modern humans, have been on the planet for over 200,000 years. We've built and destroyed civilizations, and today, we've created over 6,500 diverse languages, many of which have been buried along with the civilizations that fostered them. Today, yet another human creation would help us learn more about the ancient and dead languages in the world. From 5,000-year-old tablets to the most mysterious book ever written, here are 20 ancient languages decoded by AI. Number 20. AI decodes 5,000-year-old tablets. 5,000 years ago, in the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, scribes pressed wedge-shaped symbols into wet clay, preserving humanity's earliest written records in a script known as cuneiform. Fast forward to today, and the sheer number of these tablets, over 500,000, has overwhelmed scholars, with only a fraction ever translated. Everything changed with artificial intelligence. Recently, a groundbreaking AI model developed by researchers has made a significant leap forward in decoding these ancient texts. Cuneiform is a language that's difficult to read, with a single symbol representing multiple sounds or meanings depending on the context. Not only that, but the tablets we've obtained are damaged or fragmented, making the puzzle a lot harder. Yet researchers have developed an AI model that can translate cuneiform directly into English, even filling in the missing pieces of broken tablets by predicting what the original text might have been. Over the past year, AI has helped us decode and decipher royal decrees and other writings made 5,000 years ago. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 19. AI helps decipher an ancient language that defied translation for an entire century. Since he was young, Jaiming Luo has wondered about the forgotten and dead languages in the world. And so, when he became a computer science doctoral student at MIT in 2015, he decided to pursue this long-term interest. With his advisor, Luo began searching for a way to understand and revive lost languages. Among the scripts he tried to unravel is the ancient language Ugaritic, a script from around 1300 BCE. Scholars have long linked this language to early Hebrew, yet that's the full extent of years of research. For decades, this language puzzled scholars. Luo and his team, led by Professor Regina Barzilay, have developed a neural machine translation model that can decipher Ugaritic with remarkable accuracy. Now, what is Ugaritic? It's similar to cuneiform, making it challenging to decipher because it doesn't have clear spaces between words. And many symbols can have multiple meanings depending on context. Traditional methods required experts to piece together these texts for years manually. Yet Luo's AI model works just by recognizing patterns in the ancient language and mapping them to known languages like Hebrew. It uses a minimum cost flow approach, which basically means the AI looks for the most efficient way to decode characters by comparing them to what we already know about other ancient languages. It doesn't just decode words. It can also figure
Cholula is near Puebla, which is east of Mexico City, a couple of hours east, and it has the largest pyramid in the world. It's bigger than the Great Pyramid, it's bigger than any other ones.
It's not as tall as the Great Pyramids in Egypt. The base area of the Great Pyramid here at Cholula is over 1,000 feet on each side.
I don't think this. It doesn't look like a pyramid to me.
It looks like a hill.
Yeah. How old is this pyramid?
800 years before Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Deep inside the Great Pyramid of Cholula, hidden for thousands of years, archaeologists have uncovered secrets that could change the way we see history. From tunnels and hidden chambers to ancient rituals, human burials, and mysterious artifacts, every discovery tells a story. What could this mean for our future?
That they were throwing inside normal temperature water. Coincidence. I want to give you hey, Archeo heads. Let's talk about Poverty Point. For those of you that don't know, Poverty Point is an archaeological site in the bayous of northern Louisiana. At its heart is a pyramid that was built in 1400 BCE. I feel justified in calling it a pyramid because of its gigantic size. It covers an area of 12 football fields, and as it slopes up to its top, it's 72 feet tall today. And we're pretty sure that it was more like 100 or more feet tall in its original form. It has had 3,000 years of melting. It's made out of earth, but it's gigantic. It is truly a pyramid. Now, the site is exciting just because of that pyramid, but there's a lot of other cool things about it. I want to give you a highlight reel of the things that I think are the most interesting besides that giant pyramid in the middle of...
And yet, Poverty Point is a mystery and so much more. Much of the site defies our expectations, and although we've come a long way in understanding it, so much continues to elude us. Is this site an anomaly? And how does it fit into the bigger picture? Okay, hopefully I've whet your appetite, so let's dig into this. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, let's get some veggies in first by examining the first conclusions drawn about Poverty Point. Poverty Point had been known since the 1800s. Our first descriptions of the site come from the diary of settler Jacob Walter, who passed through in the 1830s. He was looking for a reported lead mine that was rumored to be nearby when he stumbled upon Poverty Point. After his visit, he recorded this in his diary.
On my arrival at the place of my destination, on Bayou Masson, at which place I had been informed.
Hey, Dr. Nago, should I